Welcome to the Moonlight Shorts. This is the official audio home for the fiction of author Misty Hamilton Smith and the stories of ink, root, and moonlight. From the surreal to the gritty, these tales explore every genre. Today's story is The Charcoal Horizon, a story of a sky that refuses to fade and the heavy silence of a landscape reclaiming its space. It thickened in a way that made the air feel crowded. There was no warm tapering, no gold softening the shift. The light surrendered in slow increments, each one sharper than the last, as if the day had been peeled back rather than allowed to fade. Harlan stood at the edge of the Martinez property and watched the descent settle over the land. The air had turned brittle, carrying the metallic taste of cold iron and the stale memory of rain that had fallen weeks ago but refused to leave the soil. He pulled his collar up, though it did nothing to keep out the damp that clung to him like a reminder of a world that used to hold heat. If you stood still long enough, you could feel the atmosphere adjusting itself. It curled around the skeletal trees, slipped into the hollows of the earth, and moved with the slow patience of something that had nowhere else to go. Color drained from the landscape until everything resembled a charcoal sketch someone had smudged with the side of their hand. The stillness carried its own kind of pressure. It settled into the ribs and reminded the living that the noise of the day had already been claimed by something older. Harlan listened to the gravel under his boots, each step a small defiance against the quiet. It rose, thinned, and disappeared as if the air had grown tired of carrying anything human. In this grey, the shadows stretched themselves across the ground with a confidence they hadn't shown in years, reclaiming space without hesitation. He didn't look back toward the town. There was nothing waiting for him there except the stale rot that clung to the buildings and the silence that never fully lifted. The place had been hollowed out long before the sky learned to darken this way. Windows had gone blind with dust. Doors sagged on hinges that no longer remembered how to close. Even the wind avoided the main street, as if it had learned to move around the town rather than through it. The path narrowed as the twilight thickened, the ink gathering at its edges and swallowing the familiar landmarks one by one. The field to his right had once held rows of corn, but now it was a flat stretch of soil that looked scraped clean. The ditch to his left carried a thin trickle of water that moved with the sluggish determination of something trying to remember its purpose. Twilight closed in with the slow precision of a wound stitching itself shut. The horizon folded into shadow, and the night prepared to take the rest. Harlan tightened his grip on the strap of his pack and kept moving. The shelter wasn't far, but distance changed shape in this kind of dark. Landmarks shifted, paths bent. The world rearranged itself in small, unsettling ways that made you question whether you had ever known it well enough to trust it. He stepped forward anyway. Stopping meant letting the dark decide for him, and he had already lost too much to anything that demanded surrender. The sky pressed lower. The air thickened again. The charcoal horizon swallowed the last line of light, and Harlan walked into it because there was nothing left behind him worth turning toward. You have been listening to an original story by Misty Hamilton Smith. This piece was originally published on the Inkroot and Moonlight blog. To read the written version or to support the author, please follow the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening.